the chain of the
Quran.
Quran.
You were just going to video him.
If I record like that, I'm recording your chest, but I can't hear you with the microphone. But again, I can record anyone I want to hear, mate. You can walk away from the conversation if you wish.
Yeah.
I'm just being courteous, by the way.
Right.
I didn't record you. I was recording down here.
You're having a discussion.
Your audio. I can't hear you if I don't.
And it's a public spot.
If I wish, I can record both of you.
People want to film, let them film. We can't stop them. So the point I'm making is.
So basically, you don't want to discuss it just by itself.
You're not understanding my point.
I understand exactly your point, but you're saying why you want to discuss something else. I'm asking you directly, is it something you discuss just by itself, first of all? You can do other things after that.
Sorry?
Why is man listening to this?
Okay. Yeah. I don't mind discussing the Quran and its authority when it comes to substantiating the Hadith literature. I don't have a problem with that discussion. But before we have that discussion, another discussion needs to take place so that we can both establish, because you have a secondary question in your mind. You think it's secondary, but actually it's primary. The primary reason, the reason why you are discussing, or we are having this discussion, is because you don't believe in the Hadith literature. And the reason why you don't believe in the Hadith literature is because you find allegedly disturbing things in the Hadith literature. So what you do is you throw away the baby with the bathwater.
This is an assumption that's not substantiated.
Okay.
That's not the basis.
We had this discussion last time.
But I did not say that because I'm disturbed by it.
You made this point.
No, I did not.
That there are things in the Hadith literature we cannot believe in.
Oh, well, that is true. That's not a matter of disturbing.
Well, that is the problem. That is the primary issue. The issue is not the authenticity or the strength or the weakness of a certain document. The issue is your mentality, the way you judge a literature, or the standard you use to judge a literature. So if you see something disturbing in the Hadith literature, which is disturbing to you, you think, okay, I have two choices. Either I defend it, which is difficult, or I completely throw away the baby with the bathwater. Just reject it.
Absolutely not the basis of what I'm saying.
Okay, so why did you say that there is some disturbing stuff in the Hadith literature?
That's a by the way, but that's not the basis of it.
No, but I understand that, but that's one of your major concerns, right?
Primary concern is what does the Quran say on the topic. That's number one concern. Now, there may be some other stuff in there where there are issues in the Hadith, and I do believe that that's the case, but that really is secondary.
I believe that's primary. The reason why you question
the opinion.
No. The reason most Hadith rejectors reject the Hadith literature is not because they don't know about the chains or they have reasons to reject Hadith because of the chains. It's because they do not like the content of a certain Hadith, for example. Right? The age of Aisha is a classic example. The age of Aisha. How can, according to some people, a prophet of God marry a 9 years old? Okay, that's the problem in your mind. So what do? We have two options. Either we defend the literature and the prophet with it, or we throw away the baby with the bathwater. We just get rid of the Hadith. We don't believe in it. It's rubbish. It's all rubbish.
Okay.
So these are the two options you have.
You may be fine.
You choose the latter.
You may be using this argument against others, but that's not the basis of my view. So please don't generalize.
Okay. I'll prove my point. Do you believe Aisha was 9 when she got married to the prophet?
I don't know.
You don't know? Come on. Do you actually? I'm asking. Do you believe? You either do or you don't.
I don't have sufficient knowledge on it to know one way or the other. I know that that's the claim, that actually the marriage was earlier, the consummation was...
Do you believe the claim?
No.
You don't believe the claim. Now that's the point. Why don't you believe the claim?
There's various reasons for that, but I said this is not the
But is
discussion
it?
time.
What's your primary reason? I want to know what's your primary reason. This is a very interesting, and this is the important discussion. Why do you not believe it?
I will substantiate that at a different time, but I said now is not the time for discussion.
No, it's fine. If he's not ready for this discussion, no problem.
I want to organize something.
Okay, whenever we have the discussion, it will be Marwan. It will be on this very topic. Before we...
Okay, so you don't want to talk about the Quran. It's basically yes or no, that's the question.
No.
Directly, not without talking
You're not
about
understanding the point. I have no problem with talking about the Quran. But before we use the Quran to judge the Hadith, which is what you want to do, right?
Correct.
Yes? You're using the Quran to judge the Hadith. I'm saying, right, before we do that, we need to see whether they are on par with each other when it comes to their transmission. It's a simple question, simple discussion. I want to see whether they are on par or they are parallel to each other in authenticity. The Quran and the Hadith. Once we have this discussion, then coming to your point is the secondary concern I have. You want to jump to the secondary first?
No. You just have a different question that you very focused on talking about first. I said I want to talk first of all about the Quran, and if you want to talk about is the Hadith literature in general, you can't even talk about that because it's not all one level of anything.
I agree, and that's another question, and we're not addressing that question. You are a Hadith rejector. You don't believe in Hadith, right? Generally speaking. Generally, you don't believe in Bukhari, Muslim. You don't believe these sources are authentic, right?
Correct.
Now, right. I'm saying they are as authentic as the Quran if we look at the transmission.
I think you'd be very lonely in that view, right?
Sorry?
That's not the view that's held, I think, not even by your classical scholars.
Let's talk about it. You want to talk about it now? You want to talk about it now?
With the hadith of Muhammad said that whoever lies against me, let him find his seat in Jahannam. You admitted this hadith is mutawatir, and the most transmitted hadiths.
I said that this is the general view.
Yes.
It is considered.
Why do you reject this?
I will forget about general view. I'm talking to Marwan and you're talking to Adnan. Okay? So I'm concerned. I'm interested in Marwan's view. I don't care about general view.
You're not interested because you only want to talk about one topic if another one's talking
Why
about
do you
first.
reject the hadith? Why do you reject that hadith that I mentioned?
He doesn't.
I don't hold a view one way or the other because that's not a matter of religion for me.
So why do you choose to believe in a verse of the Quran and not believe in that hadith while the transmission is exactly the same?
Exactly.
Man kadhiba alayya muta'ammidan falyatabawwa maq'adahu min an-nar is, but when it comes to transmission, it is mutawatir lafzi. Just like the Quran. When we say Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, both of these statements have reached us via the same process. So why do you reject one and accept the other? This is what I want to discuss. Before we go to the Quran and start discussing a secondary issue, which is whether the Quran substantiates the authority of Hadith or not.
Are you worried about that topic?
No, I'm not. I'm very happy to discuss it. Believe me, you will have a lot of trouble trying to prove your point because I know what I'm talking about.
Okay, well,
you don't seem to know.
Why don't you focus on that one topic? So, given that I have so much trouble on it.
No. Look, the reason why I don't want to jump to that topic is because your standard is not consistent. I'm insisting that your use of the Quran is unfair, unjust, inconsistent. And this is what I want to discuss. Before we jump to the Quran, we need to prove it. We need to prove it because you cannot prove it. I can prove it. I believe in the Hadith, authentic Hadith, and I believe in the Quran.
According to who?
Sorry?
Authentic according to who?
The consensus of the scholars of Islam.
Do you
Bukhari.
understand what
Bukhari.
he's saying?
I understand everything.
Bukhari. I'll give you an example. Bukhari. There are reports in Bukhari that have three individuals between the Prophet and Bukhari. Bukhari narrates from his teacher Makki bin Abi Ibrahim. Then we have Yazid ibn Abi Ubayd, and then we have Salma ibn al-Aqwa. Three people. Makki, Yazid, not Yazid the son of Muawiyah. This is another Yazid, by the way. Makki, Yazid, and Salma ibn al-Aqwa. Three people between Bukhari and the Prophet. The Prophet taught or told Salma whatever he told him. Salma told his student Yazid. Yazid told his student Makki, who was over a 90 years old man, when Bukhari was a young man, taking the hadith from him, told Bukhari. So where's the problem? Where's the problem in this report? Tell me, in this chain, in this transmission, where's the issue? Why do you reject it?
Actually, I could point out several assumptions associated with that, but again, this is not the time for the discussion.
Well, what are the assumptions? Tell me, is Makki a real person? Is Yazid ibn Abi Ubayd a real person? Is Salma ibn al-Aqwa is a real person? Is the Prophet a real person? If this chain is all real, these men existed, and multiple sources testify to the fact that they existed and they taught in public, and we have independent sources to verify that Bukhari definitely took knowledge from Makki ibn Abi Ibrahim, then what's the problem?
Marwan, you said you've done your homework from the last discussion you had, remember, a couple of months ago, yeah? So why can't you answer the question that he's posing to you? It's a very simple question.
Because one, this is not the time for discussion now, and two, the homework I've done and preparation is actually to do with the content of the Quran.
I don't want to force him into a discussion he doesn't want to have. No problem.
You came down to him.
I came because I want to talk to him to organize the talk.
Yeah, no problem with that. That's perfectly fine, Marwan. Let's talk about what I'm saying we need to talk about, because we need to substantiate the Quran. When you use the Quran,
What's going on with you?
I'm all right. We'll talk about it. So we need to have this discussion. Before you use the Quran for anything, you need to substantiate it. Okay, you need to prove it to me, because I can be a non-Muslim. Allah forbid. A'udhu billah. I'm proud to be a Muslim. Okay, but I can be anyone, and I can question you. How did the Quran come to you? And when you start to substantiate that process, when you start to explain the process of the transmission of the Quran, the qira'at, and the chains of the qira'at, when you see the men, they are the same men who transmitted the hadith to us.
Does that make sense to you?
So once we have done that, we will go straight to the Quran. And
Okay, so you don't talk about the Quran first.
No, I'll tell you why. Once we have discussed the process, that discussion will not be necessary.
Null and void.
It won't be necessary.
That's why I asked
we
you,
won't
do
be
you
having
understand
that discussion.
If
You see the point?
That process needs to be discussed first.
Yeah, the process needs to be discussed.
Because then it would answer
Yeah.
your very question. It's clear.
The mother needs to be discussed before we discuss the child.
Clearly.
The outcome, the result.
because-
the father and the mother, they met, they spent some time together, and lo and behold, we had a child, right? Before we talk about the child, whether the child is evidence for the mother or the father, we need to discuss the meeting of the mother and the father.
You're not gonna
Right?
discuss Jesus without actually believing in God first, are you? It's not gonna make
exactly.
any sense.
It's like going to Jesus and saying, let's talk about Jesus.
Instead of
Let's
talking
talk
about
about
God.
the origin.
Yes.
The origin of Jesus. Where did he come from?
It's
Who is
simple.
he?
I told you logically that does not hold, because even, and I don't agree that this is the case, even if they were perfectly authentic, if they don't have a legitimate authority,
Yeah.
it still means that you can't use them.
Okay, that's the point now. Very good. Once we discuss the process and we have reached a conclusion whether the hadith...
I'm not discussing the process first. That's the point right now.
Why not? Are you scared? Like you asked me, am I scared?
It's
Am I
illogical.
scared? Are you scared to discuss the process? Are you
Because
worried that
the process is something that I'm currently in the process of studying in detail. That'll take more time. However,
So how can you make
because
conclusion
because I
on a
started
certain topic without
because-
having studied it?
because I started from the Quran first on that topic.
How can you start with the child and ignoring the mother? How
Well,
can
the
you
Quran is not a child. These analogies are not correct.
Do you believe in God?
These are-
Do you believe
Yes.
in God?
Yes.
Okay, so you believe in God first, yes, and then you're going to discuss the Quran, correct? What if you start to say that I'm going to discuss the Quran first, but I'm going to discuss God afterwards?
I'll give you an
actually,
example.
that's a position-
Yeah. This is the problem is some atheists come to me and they ask me questions about apostasy in Islam or criminal penalties or things like that. Age of Aisha, things like that. I ask them, do you believe in God? They say no. So why are you discussing these things? If you don't believe in God, these topics don't matter. There's no point of discussing them. So I take them straight to the discussion. Once God and his existence has been established, then we can talk about these branches. Why this, why that, why this, why that. Okay? Likewise, substantiate the Quran to me first. If I come to you and I say, I don't believe in the Quran, I don't believe in it. If I say to you, I don't believe in it, I don't believe Prophet Muhammad taught all of this. It's all made up. It is his companions and later Muslims, like some Orientalists in the University of London, John Wansbrough, he said Quran is an accumulation of the work of certain individuals or certain generations of Muslims. They are the ones who constructed the Quran. And it reached its peak in the time of Abdul Malik bin Marwan. Do you believe that theory?
Nope.
Why not? Why not? Why do you reject it?
Various reasons, but one of them
And
is
what are those reasons? Number one. Reason number one.
once again, this is a topic I'm not coming here to discuss. But we have manuscripts already from the
Marwan,
first century.
you cannot escape this topic. You cannot honestly have this discussion if you are truly honest about the topic.
Can I say something?
Yes,
Yeah.
Bismillah.
Listen to me. You said you want to. You are rejecting this theory on the basis of what? We should have always basis when we reject or
On
when
the
we
basis-
accept.
on the basis
What's
of
the
the
basis?
Quranic statements on it.
What is it? Like what?
Again, this is for a different discussion. I'm coming here to organize something, not to take part in it yet.
He's saying the Quran, he's claiming the
Yeah.
Quran does not give authority to hadith, which we claim it does, right?
Yeah.
For example, the verses you use in the Quran, right?
Yeah.
For example, ما آتاكم الرسول فخذوه وما نهاكم عنه فانتهوا. Okay, these verses and others like these verses do not support hadith. I'm saying before we have this discussion, we need to discuss the process, the Quran. Okay, how did the Quran come to us? The transmission. Once we discuss the transmission, the hadith will be proved itself.
Because
the same men,
exactly,
same
the same
people
men,
who are transmitting the Quran.
The
to
same
us.
men.
So the discussion.
Can I say something? You know that the Khawarij in the first Islamic Hijri, Islamic history, they said something important. They rejected the Hadith. They have the same claim. They said we have the Quran. So they debated Al-Hasan al-Basri, rahimahullah. They debated him. And then he asked him about certain understanding of different verses of the Quran. What do you understand from this? And then they have no clue. And then they said, okay, how the Quran came to you? This question. He said, how do you think the Quran came to you? How do you accept the Quran? He said, through people. Of course, we memorize the Quran through people. He said, exactly how you accept it. Their transmission to the Quran, you have to accept their understanding. Which means the way that you got how they delivered the Quran to you, you have to accept those ones, the same ones who delivered the Quran to you, the same ones who delivered the Hadith to you, and the same one who give you as well the understanding of the Quran.
You cannot reject the Quran.
Because if you deny that, you're denying the Quran. It's simple as that.
Because if you use your exegesis of the Quran, you'll be in big problems. Like we had a discussion last time, remember? The Quran says when you have intercourse, in one place it says fattaharu. In the other place it says faghtasilu. Okay? Faghtasilu linguistically means to wash. Wash what? Wash what? You will say it means what? Ghusl? Does it mean ghusl to you?
Does it
mean ghusl to you, or does it mean washing?
Washing any of the involved parts.
Okay, so you're saying just wash your privates. Based upon what?
Whatever is the involved parts.
Based upon what? I mean, where did you get? Why do you?
Upon my understanding.
Okay, why do you limit? Where does your understanding come from? Why do you limit it to private parts? You said the parts involved. I'm asking why do you limit it?
That's minimally that part, because then you also have wudu.
Okay. Why are you limiting it to that part?
I'm not limiting. I'm saying, if you're involved in an act like that, you have to at least clean the parts that are involved and then do your wudu as well.
That's your view, Marwan.
Exactly, yes.
Thank you very much, Marwan, for your view.
You're welcome.
Why do I have to accept it?
You don't have to accept anything.
Thank you. So I have two choices. I accept the transmission of the Quran with its understanding transmitted for me and the hadith, or I listen to Marwan in the 21st century, 20th of August 2017 in Speakerscorner, Hyde Park. Which option would you like me to choose? Which is more likely?
Choose what you like. I'm not.
I choose the former. I choose the former. Why? It makes more sense. The Quran transmitted by people who transmitted its understanding and the prophetic tradition. Yes. I choose that option because I can't just choose the Quran, its text, and reject its understanding and the hadith literature. It's like picking and choosing, and that's what the Quran condemns. أفتؤمنون ببعض الكتاب وتكفرون ببعض.
Which part am I refuting?
The understanding part. The understanding. The Quran says ما نزل عليهم لتبين للناس ما نزل إليهم.
What does bayan mean?
Bayan means explanation. It means explanation.
Bayan
so the Quran is saying,
explanation.
and you're rejecting all the explanation.
Okay, so interesting. That's not how it's used actually consistently in the Quran.
Do you accept this ayah? لتبين الناس ما نزل إليهم.
Of course, I accept it, but I just don't accept the understanding of it.
Okay. What's the meaning? What do you understand from it?
I'm not here for the discussion today.
No problem.
I think.
Let's have a discussion when you're ready.
We should do it by text. I don't mean text message. I mean as in writing documents.
No. I don't have time for that. I don't have the time for that. I'm gonna be very honest. I'm here almost every Sunday when I'm in the country. You can come any Sunday. You can catch me off guard. I'm not going to prepare for it because I am confident enough to have this discussion without having to go and prepare for it. Because I have studied.
It's not possible to have a discussion here.
Sorry?
It's not possible to have a discussion here.
Why not?
It's been going on for about 25 minutes now.
No, because this is not a discussion.
It's a normal discussion. If I want to
It's a human discussion.
You had all this time to prepare. You had this on your chest. You came up here and you said that you prepared. You told me you
But he wants
prepared.
to look. But I give it to him. He's honest and courageous enough to come back and say, I want to have a discussion. Let's have a discussion, Marwan. The problem with me is I'm too busy to have a textual discussion. I might as well write a book then in that case, you know.
Okay.
I would rather spend my time writing a book.
Can you recommend anyone who would be able to do that?
I doubt anyone who is busy.
I wish I have time.
Yeah.
I myself.
Yeah.
So I don't have time.
I'm
That's why
more
they're
than
here,
happy
though.
to
They're
have a
here now.
face-to-face discussion.
Listen.
You can bring your text.
Yeah,
you
I'll
can
read
read
it.
from it.
Read
You
it
can
for
read
us.
from it, and I'll respond to it.
Excellent.
Why not?
Point by point.
Because I want your arguments written.
And
so
then you want to go back and research and respond
So
to it.
I will
You want to
tell
do it like that. I understand. I know what he's wants
I
to do.
will tell him a good option. Record it.
Record it here.
Record it, and we will record it, and you write it up, or dedicate some people to write it up,
Against
and
it.
then put it in a text.
Yeah,
That's simple.
Marwan, we can have a discussion. You take notes, you go back, do your research, come back, we have another discussion. Even if it takes a year, I don't, you know,
We're here.
You will find us here. Yeah?
Alhamdulillah.
Even if it, I've been here since 2008, nearly 9 years. I'm still here, right? So we can have this discussion for as long as you like, but we should have it in person, face to face. So others, because you know, not everyone likes to read.
Before,
yeah.
there should be a condition for this discussion.
Yeah.
What is the aim of the discussion? Is it to find the truth?
Yeah.
Or is it just only to force the other side
No,
to
no,
be?
no.
So we need to know what's the aim.
The aim of
so
the
before
discussion-
we need to have an aim and objective for the discussion. Otherwise,
in my mind,
I mean,
the aim of the discussion is
to remove the misconception.
to see whether hadith literature deserves to be given the status it has been given by the Orthodox Muslims for the last 14 centuries, right? Marwan believes no, that's not the case. Hadith literature does not deserve that status because of whatever reasons he wants to express. I believe Hadith literature is absolutely authentic, the authentic Hadith literature, and we have reasons to believe in it. The same reasons we have to believe in the Quran. And this is what I want to discuss. Okay? Let's have that discussion when you're ready.
Well, by text is the preferred way for me.
I can't do that.
Okay, can you refer to any documents that if it was responded to, you would look at?
I can refer you to 100 books, but they are in different languages. Some are in Urdu, some are in the Arabic language. There's hardly anything in English, unfortunately. So most of this stuff is in the Arabic language and the Urdu language. Okay. Actually, this fitna, what we call the rejection of hadith, arose from the Indian subcontinent. It didn't come from the Arabian Peninsula. Okay, so that's why responses are mostly written in the Urdu language. So most of the hadith rejectors, modern hadith rejectors, have come from the Indian subcontinent. There was a man called Ghulam Parvez from Pakistan, and there was another man called.
I hear there is someone in Uzbekistan as well. He's
all of these people, and some of it came from Egypt, modern Egypt, when the British were governing Egypt. Some of it came from Egypt, but most of it came from Pakistan, and that's why responses are in Urdu. And I'm sure you don't know Urdu, right? I do. I read in Urdu. I have read some books.
You know Arabic?
So,
yes, but I'm developing that, improving it, inshallah.
Okay, inshallah then.
So let's have the discussion we can have and live with that, because I can't indulge myself into a long textual discussion because I don't have the time to do it.
Well, if you can suggest somebody who can, it would be much better for
I
you.
don't know who can. I don't know who can.
Your friend can answer yes or no question very easily.
So when you're ready to have this discussion, Marwan, you're more than welcome to come back here and we'll have the discussion. Simple as that.
Yeah.
I have to say, I don't find, well, thank you for offering that, but I don't find this kind of a medium as the best way.
It is the best way.
Written is the most accurate way.
No.
Most people don't like to read.
Millions of people watching this.
They're watching.
We will upload it, inshallah, and then many people will benefit from it.
See, because it's recorded, you can take what notes you want from there. You get it? Anything that
Or you
he's
can watch
mentioned is
the
on
video
there,
later
yes,
on
and take notes.
research my points, come back to me and refute my points,
Or accept it.
or accept it, refute it, and hear my rebuttal.
That makes more
and then
sense.
go back and research on my rebuttal. You can keep coming back.
That's fine.
Most
Maybe.
scholarly discourse in other areas, not even just in religion, is primarily text-based.
Yeah.
Because it's the best way to present your argument in the most logical way, and then somebody can present their argument
Forget logic,
in the best
forget
ways, and then you can respond to that.
Okay,
This verbal thing is
in
not
that
the
case,
way.
Marwan, it has been done for the last 100 years. People from that
Scholars, they have dealt with it
they have
already.
dealt with it
It's done, it's done.
conclusively. You just need to read those works. Every single argument you may present here in front of me has been dealt with. There are books in the Arabic language and in the Urdu language, and they're run into thousands of pages. I have a 2-volume set on this very topic in Urdu, and it kind of dismantles, it takes out ground from under the feet of Hadith rejectors.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Vegard and I'm a Norwegian Muslim convert. I'm working with the Dawah organization IslamNet to establish the Deen of Allah here in Norway. I am so grateful to Allah for having guided me to Islam. Sadly, I am the only Muslim in my family. It hurts me that my parents haven't accepted Islam yet, and I ask Allah to guide them. But it also gives me a special drive to work for the establishment of Islam. I don't want anyone to miss the chance of becoming Muslim. The Prophet ﷺ said that the Muslims are like one body. If you can feel my pain, would you please help me relieve it? You are now my new family. Click the link and donate to establish this masjid and share in the reward for the message of Islam reaching the corners of Norway.